Question 316. A prospective borrower applies for a loan to buy a property in a poor neighborhood. Although the loan applicant has excellent credit scores and a steady income, and the property has excellent potential for renovation, the local lender turns down the loan app. The lender is probably A. Justified, because the property is in a disadvantaged neighborhood, B. In violation of the Rumford Act, C. In violation of the Holden Act, D. Likely to have its license revoked by the controller of the currency. Correct answer is C. In violation of the Holden Act. Under California's Holden Act, the lender must make lending decisions based on the worthiness of the borrower and the security property, not on the property being in a certain neighborhood. It is against public policy to refuse mortgage loans or to impose stricter loan terms due to neighborhood characteristics. Another state law, the Rumford Act, prohibits discrimination based on the applicant's race, color, religion, gender, sexual orientation, and other protected groups. Question 317. Which of the following kinds of deed carries no warranties of title? A. Quitclaim deed. B. Trust deed. C. Sheriff's deed. D. Both A and C. Correct answer is D. Both A and C. Certain types of deeds used in real estate conveyances offer the grantee no assurance or guarantee regarding the quality or validity of the property's title. Among these, the quitclaim deed stands out as providing the least protection to the buyer. When a grantor issues a quitclaim deed, they are essentially transferring any interest they might possess in the property, without making any representations or promises that they actually own the property free and clear of encumbrances. The grantee accepts the property, as is, bearing the full risk of any existing title defects or claims against the property. The grantor simply relinquishes any potential claim they might have, without warranting the strength or existence of that claim. Similarly, a sheriff's deed, which is issued to the winning bidder at a foreclosure sale, typically carries no warranties of title. In a foreclosure, the sheriff acts under the authority of a court order to sell the property to satisfy a debt. The sheriff's role is primarily administrative, and they generally lack the direct ownership history and personal knowledge necessary to provide assurances about the title's condition. Consequently, buyers at foreclosure sales who receive a sheriff's deed assume the responsibility for any title issues that may arise. They are purchasing the property subject to any pre-existing liens or encumbrances, without any guarantee from the sheriff or the foreclosed-upon owner. Therefore, both quitclaim deeds and sheriff's deeds are notable for their absence of title warranties. Buyers receiving quitclaim or sheriff's deeds assume greater title risk due to the lack of warranties and should therefore conduct thorough due diligence. It's including a title search and obtaining title insurance to safeguard their investment. This proactive approach helps mitigate potential financial losses from undiscovered title issues. Question 318. On a construction loan, the lender's last payment usually will not be made until A. The building is completed. B. After the expiration of the lien period. C. The close of escrow. D. It is listed by a broker. Correct answer is B. After the expiration of the lien period. Construction loans are disbursed in stages as work progresses. For general contractors, mechanics liens must be filed within 60 days of the filing of a notice of completion and within 90 days if no notice is filed. The final payment is typically held back until the lien period has expired. This is to ensure that all contractors and subcontractors have been paid and that no mechanics liens will be filed against the property. Once the lien period expires, the lender is assured that there are no outstanding claims against the property. Question 319. Homestead protection can be terminated in all the following ways, except A. If the homestead is sold. B. If a creditor brings a legal action against the homesteader in bankruptcy court. C. If the homesteader files a declaration of abandonment. D. If the homesteader files a declaration of homestead on another property. Correct answer is B. If a creditor brings a legal action against the homesteader in bankruptcy court. When the homesteaded property is sold, the homestead protection generally terminates with respect to that specific property. However, in California, the protection may extend to the proceeds of the sale for a certain period, allowing the homeowner to reinvest in a new homestead. A homesteader can voluntarily terminate the homestead protection on their property by filing a formal declaration of abandonment with the county recorder. Filing a declaration of homestead on a new property generally implies the abandonment of the homestead on the previous property. A person can typically only have one declared homestead at a time. While bankruptcy proceedings can significantly impact a debtor's assets, the homestead exemption is a protection within bankruptcy. Federal and California bankruptcy laws allow debtors to exempt a certain amount of equity in their primary residence from being used to pay off creditors. Therefore, a creditor bringing an action in bankruptcy court does not, in itself, terminate the homestead protection. Rather, the bankruptcy court will apply the relevant homestead exemptions. Therefore, the correct answer is B. Question 320. A real estate agency would not terminate if A. The principal revokes the agency on his own accord. B. The property that is the subject of the agency is destroyed in a fire. C. The principal is killed. D. The principal fails to accept an offer brought to him by the agent within the allotted time period to decide, terminating the offer. Correct answer is D. The principal fails to accept an offer brought to him by the agent within the allotted time period to decide, terminating the offer. The principal has the right to terminate the agency relationship at any time, as long as they do so in accordance with the terms of the agency agreement, if one exists. If the property is destroyed, the agency is no longer possible as there's nothing left to sell or lease. An agency relationship is generally terminated by the death of the principal, because the agency is based on the personal relationship and capacity of the principal. The termination of an offer does not, in itself, terminate the agency between the principal and agent. The agent's obligation is typically to present offers to the principal. If the principal doesn't take action within the specified timeframe, usually outlined in the offer itself, the offer might expire. However, the agency agreement between the principal and the real estate agent would likely remain in effect unless terminated by one of the parties as mentioned above. Question 321. Which of the following is a kind of promissory note? A. Straight note. B. Fixed term note. C. Installment notes. D. Both A and C. Correct answer is D. Both A and C. A promissory note is a written promise to repay a specific sum of money, known as the principal, along with interest, according to agreed upon terms and a defined schedule. Various types of promissory notes exist, each characterized by its unique repayment structure. Two common kinds are the straight note and the installment note. A straight note, also referred to as an interest-only note, features a repayment plan where the borrower makes periodic payments covering only the interest accrued on the principal balance throughout the loan's duration. The entire original loan amount, or principal, remains outstanding until the very end of the loan term, at which point it becomes due in a single, large, balloon payment. This type of note is often used for shorter-term financing or in situations where the borrower anticipates being able to repay the principal from a specific future event. In contrast, an installment note involves regular, periodic payments that encompass both a portion of the principal and the accrued interest. With each payment, the outstanding principal balance is gradually reduced over the life of the loan. Installment notes can be further categorized. A fully amortized note is structured so that the regular payments, made consistently over the loan term, will completely pay off both the principal and all the interest by the final payment date. A partially amortized note also includes principal and interest in its regular payments but does not fully pay off the loan by the end of the term, resulting in a remaining principal balance that must be paid as a final balloon payment. Question 322. Once a tenant has vacated leased premises, his security deposit should be returned by the landlord in A. 10 days, B. 21 days, C. 1 month, D. There is no deadline for returning the deposit. Correct answer is B. 21 days. In California, after a tenant has vacated the premises, the landlord must return the security deposit to the tenant, along with an itemized statement of deductions, if any, within 21 days. If the deposit or portion of the deposit is not returned, the landlord must send the ex-tenant a written explanation as to why. Question 323. All listings, deposit receipts, and trust account records must be retained by a real estate broker for A. 2 years, B. 5 years, C. 10 years, D. None of the above. Correct answer is D. None of the above. According to California real estate law, Business and Professions Code Section 10148 requires real estate brokers to keep important transaction records. These include listings and deposit receipts. Trust account records must also be kept. The retention period is 3 years from the date of the closing of the transaction or from the date of the listing if the transaction is not consummated. Except those relating to mortgage loan or securities brokerage, which must be held onto for 4 years. Question 324. Real property built up alongside a river is acquired through A. Accession, B. Escheat, C. Grant deed, D. Quiet title action. Correct answer is A. Accession. Escheat is the legal process by which property reverts to the state when an owner dies without a will and has no legal heirs. This is not related to the natural buildup of land by a river. A grant deed is a legal instrument used to transfer ownership of real property from one party to another through a sale or gift. It's a voluntary transfer, not a natural acquisition. A quiet title action is a legal proceeding to establish clear ownership of real property, especially when there is a dispute or cloud on the title. It's a legal remedy, not a method of acquiring land through natural processes. In real property law, accession refers to the acquisition of title to additional land or improvements to land by natural or artificial means. In the context of a river, the gradual accumulation of soil, sediment, or other natural deposits along the bank is called alluvion. This newly formed land becomes part of the existing property through the process of accession. Question 325. Which of these four terms does not fit with the others? A. Offer. B. Consideration. C. Deed. D. Acceptance. Correct answer is C. Deed. Offer, consideration, and acceptance are all essential elements required for the formation of a contract. An offer is a proposal to enter into an agreement. Acceptance is the agreement to the terms of the offer. And consideration is something of value exchanged between the parties. Deed, on the other hand, is a legal document that transfers ownership of real property from one party to another. While a deed might be the result of a real estate contract, it is the instrument of conveyance, not a fundamental element in the initial formation of the agreement itself.